My mother-in-law banned my kids from Christmas because they were too loud. So, I hosted my own party. Everyone left her dinner to join mine, but when she showed up at my door, she brought a secret that changed everything. I'm Emily, 35, and what started as a normal holiday quickly turned into something none of us could have predicted. A week before Christmas, my phone rang. Linda's voice was sharp, polished, and practiced, the kind of tone she used when she'd already decided you were wrong. "Emily, I've been meaning to talk to you about Christmas dinner," she said coolly. "I think it's best if the children stay home this year. They're just too loud. I want a proper adult celebration." For a moment, I thought she was joking. My twins, Liam and Grace, were only 6. Sure, they were energetic, but they weren't wild. I let out a nervous laugh. A big mistake. Linda snapped back, "I'm serious." Every year they interrupt conversations, spill something, or make a scene. This year should be peaceful for once. I just stood there in shock, the phone pressed against my ear. My husband, Adam, 37, sat next to me on the couch and could hear every word. His face went pale. He whispered, "You're kidding, right?" But no, she wasn't. Linda made it crystal clear. Her house, her rules. No kids allowed. "You and Adam can still come, of course," she added casually. "I'll even save you seats." I hung up before I said something I'd regret. Adam tried calling her back to smooth things over, but she doubled down. "You can see the kids another day," she told him. "Christmas dinner is for grown-ups." That night, as Grace helped decorate cookies she'd wanted to bring to Grandma's, she looked up at me and asked, "Will Grandma make her cinnamon rolls this year?" I didn't know what to say, so I lied. "Grandma's taking a break this year, sweetheart." Grace just frowned and went back to her cookies. I barely slept that night. Every thought spun around the same idea, my children being treated like an inconvenience. They were not guests to be banned from Christmas. They were family. So, the next morning over coffee, I looked at Adam and said, "If the kids aren't welcome at her dinner, we'll host our own." He blinked at me, then smirked. "You're serious?" "Completely," I said. "We'll do it at our house. Real Christmas food, lights, music, gifts, the works. Everyone's invited." He thought I was bluffing until he came home that evening to find me surrounded by storage boxes, untangling lights, and pulling out the giant pre-lit tree we hadn't used in years. By the weekend, our living room looked like a Hallmark movie had exploded. I sent out a message to the entire family group chat. "Change of plans. We're hosting Christmas at our house this year. Kids welcome. Food guaranteed. Chaos expected." At first, I didn't expect anyone to respond. But within hours, the replies began pouring in. Adam's younger sister texted, "Wait, seriously? Mom said dinner was adults only. That's ridiculous." Then his cousin. Then his aunt. One by one, family members started asking for directions, food assignments, or if they could bring gifts for the kids. By Christmas Eve, it hit me, this wasn't just a backup plan. This was the plan. And none of us knew that by the end of Christmas night, every single guest from Linda's proper dinner would walk out of her house and show up at mine. Christmas morning arrived with that strange stillness that happens right before something big. By noon, the house smelled like cinnamon, roasted turkey, and fresh pine. Liam and Grace were racing around in their matching pajamas, hanging extra ornaments and giggling about how Santa would love the decorations. Adam was outside setting up lights that could probably be seen from space. I told myself I wasn't competing with Linda, but deep down, I knew I wanted her to see what a real Christmas looked like. By 4 in the afternoon, the table was set. Ham glazed with honey, roasted potatoes, mac and cheese, pies, everything Linda usually took credit for, except this time it was made with love, not control. I dimmed the lights, put on Christmas music, and waited. The first knock came at 4:30. It was Adam's cousin, Sarah, holding a tray of cookies and looking uneasy. "I was supposed to go to your mother-in-law's," she said quietly. But when she said no kids, that just felt wrong. Behind her were her husband and 3 kids, smiling shyly. I let them in, and moments later, another car pulled up. Then another. Within an hour, our driveway looked like a holiday parade. Cousins, uncles, friends. Even one of Linda's church friends who whispered that she'd lost her appetite at that quiet dinner. Apparently, Linda's adults-only gathering had been a disaster, silent, awkward, and cold. Someone mentioned how strange it felt without laughter or children running around. And when they saw the photos I'd posted, the kids baking cookies, the tree glowing bright, they started leaving her dinner one by one. By 6 p.m., our house was overflowing with joy. Music played, kids laughed, adults shared stories, and Adam handed out hot cocoa like a bartender. It wasn't perfect. The twins knocked over the tinsel twice. Someone spilled soda. The dog stole half the ham, but it was real. It was family. Then, around 7, Adam's phone buzzed. He glanced down and grimaced. "It's Mom," he said. Apparently, she'd finally noticed her guests were gone. According to his sister, Linda sat alone at the head of the table, staring at uneaten food. She called Adam, her voice cold. "What's going on?" He answered calmly, "We're just having dinner, Mom. You're welcome to come if you want." There was silence. Then the line went dead. We thought that was the end of it. We danced, laughed, and for the first time in years, I felt at peace until there was a loud, deliberate knock on the door at 8:15. When I opened it, there she was, Linda, standing in the cold, holding a covered dish in one hand and a small wrapped box in the other. Her eyes were red, her lipstick smudged, but she wasn't angry. Not exactly. The room fell silent. Even the twins froze mid-bite. Linda took a step forward, her voice soft. "May I come in?" Adam hesitated, then nodded. She walked inside slowly, her heels clicking against the floor, scanning the laughter and the lights she'd tried to exclude. Then she looked at me and said quietly, "I think I made a mistake." She placed the box on the table, then uncovered the dish, her famous cinnamon rolls. Still warm. "Grace told me she wanted to bring these," she whispered, her voice shaking. I should have let her. Grace's eyes lit up. "It's okay, Grandma," she said softly. Linda smiled weakly, then nodded toward the box. "This is for you, Emily. I know it doesn't fix everything, but it's something." In that moment, something shifted, not just in her, but in all of us. For the first time, I saw her as more than the controlling matriarch. I saw her as a woman trying, finally, to make things right. Later that night, after everyone left and the kids fell asleep, I sat alone in the soft glow of the Christmas tree. Wrapping paper lay scattered like snow, and in the center of the table sat that small box Linda had left behind. Adam leaned against the counter. "You going to open it?" he asked. I nodded and carefully untied the ribbon. Inside was a faded envelope. The name written as across it sent a chill down my spine. Marjorie Green, Linda's mother. I pulled out a yellowed Christmas card. Inside was a photograph of a young Linda, maybe 8 or 9, standing beside a half-decorated tree. Her eyes were red, her cheeks wet with tears. Behind her, a woman stood with a cigarette dangling from her fingers, expression cold and detached. On the back, in shaky handwriting, were the words, "Christmas 1972. Marjorie's rules, no noise.
No mess, no joy."
Tucked behind the photo was a letter, addressed to me. "Emily," it read, "I know I've been hard on you, maybe even cruel. You remind me of someone I wish I'd been brave enough to protect, the little girl in that photo. My mother used to lock me in my room during Christmas so the house would stay quiet for her guests. She'd say, 'Children ruin everything.' I swore I'd never be like her, but somehow I became her anyway. When I told you not to bring the kids, I heard her voice in mine. It terrified me. Tonight, when everyone left my table for yours, I realized the laughter I've been running from my whole life was what I missed most.
I'm sorry, Emily. Truly.
I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope one day you'll let me earn it." Tears blurred my vision. Adam read the letter in silence, then whispered, "She never told me any of this." Suddenly, everything made sense. Her obsession with perfection, her harsh words, her rules. It wasn't about power. It was about fear. Fear of losing control. Fear of repeating a childhood filled with silence and pain. The next morning, when Linda came by to pick up the dish she'd left, I handed the box back to her. "You should keep this," I said gently. "You read it?" she asked, her voice fragile. I nodded. "Then you know," she said softly. "I never meant to hurt you, or the kids. I just didn't know how to be different." Before I could reply, Grace ran into the room, wrapped her tiny arms around Linda's legs, and said, "Grandma, next Christmas, can we make cinnamon rolls together?" Linda's eyes filled with tears. "I'd like that," she whispered. For the first time, she didn't try to control the moment. She just let it happen. But even as things began to heal, the letter left me with questions. If Linda's mother had been that cruel, what happened to the rest of the family? Why had no one ever spoken about it? A week later, while helping Linda clean her attic, I asked, "Do you have any more photos of her?" She hesitated, then pulled out an old green album tied with a faded ribbon. Inside were happy photos at first, birthdays, family trips, but soon the smiles disappeared. In one picture, a 12-year-old Linda stood beside a boy. The caption read, 1975, Linda and Peter. "Who's Peter?" I asked. She frowned. "I don't remember Peter." As we flipped through, we found torn pages and missing photos. Then, tucked in the back pocket, was another letter. If Linda ever asks about her brother, it read, "Tell her I did what was necessary. He was too loud, too shameful. I sent him away for his own good." Linda went pale. She told me I was an only child. We started searching. After several calls, we found him. Peter Green, born 3 years before her, adopted in 1976, still alive. When Linda called him, her voice trembled. "Peter, it's your sister." There was silence. Then a laugh. "Linda? I thought you were gone." They talked for hours. Then they made plans to meet. 2 months later, our home was full again, this time for Sunday brunch. The kids ran around with powdered sugar on their faces, and Linda sat beside her brother, smiling wider than I'd ever seen. On the mantel sat 2 pictures, one of them as children, and one of our family from Christmas night. Before she left, Linda handed me a small red box. "For next Christmas," she said. Inside was a note that read, "This year, no rules, only love." I laughed. She laughed too. And in that moment, I realized, sometimes peace isn't found in perfection. It's found in forgiveness. That Christmas began with exclusion, but it ended with everyone finally coming home. Like, subscribe, and share if you believe that the real magic of Christmas isn't in the decorations or the dinners. It's in the people who choose love over pride.